Welcome aboard, Jim Lincoln. Thanks for taking time away from your family this evening to chat to us at Moderare Techniques. So thanks again.
Thanks. You're welcome.
So,
Absolutely.
Jim, you can be found on Facebook at jameslincoln.com. And he's got two websites here, and I'll link all this to the description below. So the first one is Lincoln P48 engineering.com, and also he has a Shapeways account. So shapeways.com shops Batsby by Jim. So it's BATS by Jim. So there, as I said, they're all going to be linked below. So I'm going to try a new little segment this week, I reckon, Jim, starting with you, because you reckon you can put on the best Australian accent. So I want you to say something hilarious, because we've had a little banter while we've had some technical issues. So away you go. The microphone's all yours.
Well, Bruce, you have to realize that the moment you have me talking with a bad Australian accent, I'm only going to be able to call each other Bruce. You're Bruce number 1, and I'm Bruce number 2.
Right.
So that's about all I can do, because my Australian accent kind of fades between American, Australian,
and
British, and
everything in between. Everything into the Asians. Yeah. Now, can we call each other Bruce 1 and Bruce 2? Has Lionel Strang sort of patented these terms, do you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I reckon we'll use them.
Hello, Bruce.
We'll just, you'll be B1 and I'll be B2,
Bruce.
or we'll just say it so we can just annoy the hell out of one Lionel Strang. What do you think?
All right, Bruce.
All right, young Jim. Can you tell us about your modelling history?
Ooh. Oh boy. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's
go back to jumping trains.
Yeah. The earliest I can remember is jumping trains. With my older brother, we had a Lionel. He had a Lionel train set with a that we used to set up in the basement, and one of the things that we would do is we would build a ramp with the track and see how far his 442 Atlantic would jump across the basement. It would go pretty far, and eventually it was just an 040 with no tender, no body, just the mechanism, and it went a long way. Took a licking and kept on ticking. Then I think at about 10 years old, I got a first one, the Royal Blue Tyco train set. Set that up on the dining room table. Then my parents bought me, I think it was a Chattanooga Choo Choo Tyco train set, and eventually got a piece of plywood, put it down on the floor, had a Lupa track, grass mat, all that great stuff, and then it morphed into various HO model railroads.
Yeah, nice. So, jumping of these trains, I've never heard of this concept being done before. So, what was the longest? What did you actually measure the longest jump? No. Not that game.
No, didn't play that game. We just like to see it shoot across the floor.
That's hilarious.
I was fairly young at the time, so there wasn't a whole lot of measuring. It was just like, woohoo, make it go faster.
Yeah, make it go fast and see how far we can jump it without measuring it. That's hilarious.
Uh-huh.
So we'll jump forward a lot of years here. So you've done numerous professional type jobs, from owning your own trucking company, working as a freight conductor for CSX. I think I am to a current job where you're working for the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority. Is that correct?
Transportation Authority.
Yep. Transportation. So MBTA, as I'm being told.
MBTA.
So how do you think these vocations have shaped your modelling?
It changed it for me to be more interested in getting things prototypically correct.
Sure.
So that's kind of why I lean towards Proto-48, because it scratches the modeling itch better than the N scale does, or HO. And try to describe, what is the what's the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish when you build your layout?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? And as a freight conductor, there is a lot of walking involved.
Okay.
And so the thing, if someone asks me, because I ask myself when I try to figure it out, what's the first thing you think about being as a freight conductor? Go. Is the crunch of ballast underneath your feet.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to make my railroad in such a way that that's the feeling people get.
Right.
So,
okay.
I have the ability that, when I say, hey, what is this piece of track? And piece of track isn't the right word. What does this track detail look like? Well, I just hop in my car. I drive 1.5 miles. I take a picture of it. People look at you and say, what are you doing? I work here. Okay. So
the world we live in.
It gives you, but the thing is, what happens, and I don't suggest anybody, if you don't work for the railroad, go and trespass anywhere near it. But when you work for the railroad, you get away with more because they understand that you understand the dangers involved.
Yeah.
So, and they also understand that you understand that if anything happens to you, it's all on you.
Yeah, fair. Sure.
I'm not suing them. My family's not suing them. Nothing's happening. I just, go take your picture and leave. But that's the other thing is, you go, you get what you need and leave.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't hang around.
Sure.
Because we see it all, as railroaders, you see it all the time, rail fans giving rail fans a bad name. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I actually see you, and I'll put a link to this below. You wrote an article in Model Railroad Hobbyist, and you've got little blurbs, I think, after each page just about the etiquette, I suppose, of rail fanning more than anything. So, and I think that's very good information. And if you're happy, I will link that.
Absolutely.
That below.
Absolutely.
So that's a very interesting point, and very, obviously safety, part of our hobby is massive. We work with a lot of nasty chemicals in the workshop, right the way through to getting prototypical photos, as you say. So, I was going to talk about Proto-48 a little bit further down down the interview, so to speak. So, what current layout are you working on?
Well, I am working on the Proto-48 layout. So that one, but anyway, Proto-48 layout. It's loosely based. It isn't any particular prototype, but it's based on a portable Proto-48 layout that Jim Cantor built in conjunction with a group of folks, and they carry it around to different O-scale conventions just to showcase Proto-48 and the fact that it can run consistently and well. And it's essentially, it's a 4x8. You would think of a 4x8 plan in HO. It's an O-scale 4x8 plan is what it is.
Okay.
So, but in O. So it's actually 8x16.
Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. As it's scaled out. So,
yeah, when you scale it out, yeah.
So I did some research regarding Mike Rose helping you with the layout. What layout was that?
I helped him with his layout.
Sorry, you helped him. Okay. All right.
Yes. Yeah, his Conrail, 80s Conrail layout. I built the track at Mahoopany, his big Mahoopany plant, which is kind of the showcase location. I had offered to build a crossing for him. He didn't believe me. Then he saw a couple of the things I did, and he couldn't really believe that anybody would offer to do this for anyone.
Yeah.
And then he brought me down to his house and said, hey, can you build this crossing for me? And I said, well, I can, but then the rest of this is going to look stupid.
Right. Okay.
So you might as well just have me hand lay everything. So
yeah, okay.
I hand laid all the track. It is. Some of it was actually built in my car while
I did hear
working
this story,
for
yes.
CSX.
That's where I've heard this story. Yes. Tell us about that, because that's quite a funny story. How you went about? Because obviously that requires some sort of soldering, I would think. And
Yeah, so I have it's a great soldering iron, but it works great, but I don't remember where I got it,
sure,
and the tip's dying, but it doesn't draw a lot of power, obviously. So I had an inverter that I would plug into the outlet of my car.
sure. Yeah.
And when you work for CSX, there are many times where you have what's called a flag job. And what your job is you're working alongside a contractor who is working adjacent to the railroad.
Oh, I see. Yes.
And so your job is to make sure they don't foul the track. And if they do foul the track, you have to call and get permission and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And the trains call you to make sure that it's okay to pass.
Sure.
Well, basically, your job consists of sitting in your car for 8 hours, listening to the radio when someone says, Q437 calling the flag at 36.1. Flag at 36.1, okay to come through the work area. It's basically all you're doing.
Yeah, like a safety officer, a glorified safety officer.
Yeah, literally, you're just there talking on the radio.
Yeah, sure.
So I still have it, but it's I don't think it's asbestos, but it's a heat-proof pad. It's about a half an inch thick. And I would just put that on I would take the template that I was building a switch on, like that one that's up right now, similar to that. And I would put that template down on the asbestos pad and build the turnout or crossing or whatever it was. And then when the train called me on the radio, I'll be like, okay, through the work area, put the radio down and continue soldering.
I wish I could do that at work. That'd be I get a lot done.
Well, I can't do that anymore.
No. So. Oh, well. It was good while it lasted, I suppose. So.
Yes, it was.
So, I know we're jumping around here a little bit.
That's fairly normal for me anyway. So.
That's fine. I tried following the best as I could. I wasn't going to go through year by year, blow by blow description of your modelling, that's for sure. So I'll leave that to other podcasts. But
that's very wise, Bruce.
Very wise. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce.
All right, Bruce.
I don't have a green room yet, but I'm not a big enough production, so I will eventually. So you were at some stage into N scale.
See, yes.
So I'm assuming that you sort of got your passion for ultra detail by a layout you loosely turned around. You've called the chocolate or something
Yes.
similar to that. Can you sort of talk us through that layout? Because I think that's quite an interesting story about how you went about planning that particular layout or that section of the layout.
The chocolate, which still exists, I still have it, is an N-scale layout that's 10 by 7. And the germination of it was I was being qualified on the chocolate job. So sure. I don't remember what the train number was. But whenever you qualify on a freight job, you need to go in and you need to know all the car counts for all the locations. So in the chocolate, things you find out are the runaround is, which I guess in y'all's terminology is the loop.
The loop, yeah.
The loop is 14 cars. You can fit 14 cars nominally. Depends on whether they're lumber flats and all that other stuff, but sure. Nominally 14 cars. 14 cars, and from the end of the switch to the end of the track is 7 cars. From the end of the next switch to the end of the track is 5 cars, and then 3 cars. Sure. And as he's telling me all of this, I'm thinking, this is a model railroad. And if you built this, people would say you made it up. So, the railroad would never do this. And here it is. And so what I endeavored to do was figure out, and I had John Kleiser help me with scaling Google Maps.
Right, okay.
To N scale. And it fits in 10 by 7. And so Jason Rice printed out the Google Maps, the N-scale Google Maps for me. I laid it down on the bench work, and I literally laid the N-scale track on the Google Maps.
Right.
So
Okay.
in the crossing, so there is a curved crossing at one point. In the crossing, the ties are actually laid in the spots where the ties are.
Right. Okay.
So, not everywhere is like
Not
that,
everywhere.
but all the track is hand laid on that, and give thanks to Tim Warris at Fast Tracks for helping me out with that. So
Yeah, lovely. So I did
yep.
do some digging around on this very building, and it will be flicking around on one of the photos here at some stage as well. So they turned it into a bunch of apartment blocks or something. I think I did do some research in Mansfield. So when I was trying to find the building, and it's quite a nice looking building actually. So
it is. When I was working the chocolate, it was still a chocolate factory.
Right.
So when you worked in there, you think industrial areas, you have fascinating industrial smells.
Yeah.
And the industrial smell that you had when you were in there was chocolate.
Yeah, nice.
Not all the time,
Yeah.
but every once in a while you'd get like Hershey's dark chocolate. Poof.
So it was a sought after position then. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, for about 10 or 15 seconds, it's like, oh.
Back to work. It's
gone. It's gone. Yeah. So what I had always wanted to do is I had wanted to set this layout up. And since I knew how to switch it, I wanted to set it up at shows so that people could come and do it. But I really wanted to be evil because one of the buildings, the cars went in the building behind a fence, and a door and a derail.
Yeah.
Well, on one of the nights that I did it, the train master had the brilliant idea that he was going to change everything so that it got switched at night. And I looked at it was normally okay, except for Sunday night. And I called him and I said, my switch list here says you've got 3 cars. I've got 3 cars for Stone Container. Do you really want me? Are they going to be open tonight? Oh, yes. They've told me they will be. Okay. Because when you get into the runaround, if you have 3 cars that don't go anywhere because they're not open, now you all of a sudden have to figure out, what do I do with them? Because you've got to run around it, and now they're in the way. So you have to ditch them. Like, you have to find places all over the place. Wherever there's an empty space, you got to stick a car, and you can't block a crossing.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to do was have it so that to open the door, the gate and the door, it was going to be on a motor. This is one of the reasons it didn't get finished. Yeah. Too many wonderful ideas. It gets you,
bogged down.
Analysis paralysis. Yeah. What I wanted to do is have a button that you pressed and it would open the gate and open the roll-up door.
Sure.
Fantastic. But there was a 1 in 7 chance that it wouldn't work. So that you would press the button and nothing would happen. As if it were Sunday night.
Sunday night.
And they weren't open. And then when the person is standing there, and it would have a timer on it, so you could only press it once every half hour. Because that people would like constantly press the button to get the thing to open.
Yeah.
So you can press it once, and either the thing would open or it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so when they press it and nothing happens, they'd come to me, obviously, and be like, what happens? What do I do? I have these 3 cars to go in this building, and the door won't open. Oh, that is a problem. You figure it out. And remember, you still have to get out.
So what did you do to deserve that? What, you annoyed your boss on that particular day that he sent you in there with those 3 cars? Or
No. He was just an idiot.
Just an idiot.
Anybody who knows who it was knows he was a nitwit.
He was a nitwit. So, we won't name names. We'll just call him the nitwit.
The nitwit, yes.
He won't be Bruce 3, just the nitwit. So.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve to be a Bruce.
He doesn't deserve to be a Bruce.
Doesn't it?
Very good. So moving forward, with your modelling. So we talked about, sorry, you've spoken about Proto-48. So what is Proto-48? What, for people that sort of don't know, just the layman's terms. Bruce number 2, talk to me as the lowest common denominator, because I don't really know. What's the best way to describe it?
The best way, see, I have a tendency to really irritate O-scalers when I talk about Proto-48.
Please do.
The thing with American O-scale is that it's 1 to 48.
Right.
But back in the day, when they were trying to bring mechanisms over, they were bringing over British mechanisms, which are 7 millimeter mechanisms, or 143.5.
Right.
But because Americans are lazy, they figured 1/4 inch to the foot makes way more sense. But we already have these mechanisms, so they have 143.5 mechanisms with 1/48 models. So the rails in OW5, that's what people call it. That's what Proto-48 modelers call it, because in O scale it scales out to 5 feet wide.
Right.
It's not 4 feet 8.5 inches. It's 5 feet. So the manufacturers in O scale produce everything in, Lionel, Atlas, everybody, they produce it in O scale, which is OW5. It's 5 feet. So what Proto-48 endeavors to do is to narrow the gauge to 4 feet 8.5 inches, and use prototypical wheel flanges and frog that allows you to use like prototype frogs and prototype flanges, flange widths, and you're able to get a lot closer prototype fidelity. Now, there's a certain, I can irritate the Proto-48 guys too, because my opinion on Proto-48 is all I care about is getting the track and the wheels correct.
Right. Okay.
There are many Proto-48 guys that you cannot tell what they do from the prototype.
Right.
And that is generally the mindset, which is make sure it is taking your modeling to the ultimate degree.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's okay. And if you've looked at some of my models, some of them go that far. But by and large, I just really want my trains to run on track that is prototypical with prototypical wheels. And what I think Proto-48 is able to do is get the wheels and flanges in the right scale and the right size so they work. HO scale, you can do Proto-87, but the problem with that is there's not enough heft to the equipment where the stuff will actually stay on the track, because the flanges get so ridiculously stupid. Yes, I do go crazy with my track. My track, I've been told it looks like a museum, but with my trains, I'm a little less anal about it.
So I've just popped up a photo now of exactly what you mean, your track, and the degree that you have gone to is just, the detail is phenomenal. So you touched on a very, very interesting point, is your modelling, as soon as you get out as a freight conductor, is the first thing you hear is the crunch of the ballast under your feet. I think this picture is quite an interesting segue, because I think that's exactly what that shows to me. Is so your interest in this hobby, and it's fascinating. All the different interests people have got is pretty well from the ballast up to the top of the wheel. So, and it tends to be. We'll go and have a look at your websites in a sec. But so, talk us through just quickly what we're looking at here. Obviously, you talked briefly about the gauge of the rail here, and some of the other elements here that you 3D print effectively through Shapeways.
Yes. The only thing that you're looking at that's 3D printed there, although I have 3D printed tie plates, The tie plates that are there are from Monster Model Works. I
Right.
believe he's back in business now, so I don't know whether he'll be producing the tie plates.
Sure.
I think they're the best. Are the joint bars. And see,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
anal enough that I can look at that picture and I can tell you where the mistake is. There is a
Pray
mistake
tell.
that's glaring. Huh?
Please tell me.
You see the joint in the rail?
Yeah.
On the top of the rail? Look at the
Yep.
bottom.
Okay.
Look at the bottom
Yep.
of the rail.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't have even looked at that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Most people wouldn't. And I didn't notice it until I took a picture of it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I see it, but that's the type of thing I see.
Right.
So, but each and every tie is distressed one way or the other.
Yeah.
One other thing that I would say, hey, if you want to make your track look more realistic, here's a very simple fact.
Yeah.
Every tie, whether it's new or old, has a crack in it.
Right.
They may
Okay.
not be large.
Yeah.
Now, the new ones, you won't really see the grain of the tie, but there's a crack in every single tie. Put a crack in every single tie.
Why is that?
You can use a knife. Huh?
Why is that?
Oh, I don't know. It's just the nature of the wood.
It's nature of the wood. Okay.
It's just the nature of the wood and how they make the ties. I mean, again, these are not necessarily large cracks.
Yeah.
But there is a crack in every single tie somewhere. And
Sure.
it can be, a foot long. It can be 3 feet long. And again, they're not necessarily wide, but basically on new ties, they are not large. The other thing is that car right there is my first Proto-48 car project.
Wow. Okay.
So when you look at the tack boards, which are that wooden thing to the left of the door.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Right
Just
there.
there.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
tack board. That's a tack board. And to the left of that little thing with that white thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the place where they put the orders. And that
okay.
actually that's a piece of paper that I printed that says like load other side or something. I forget what that actually says, but that is actually says something. But the tack board is one of the problems you have with a lot of what you're doing. That's wood that I stained. That's the right thickness. So it's like 1x2. No, it's not 1x2, obviously. It's 1 by something. And I wrapped it with tin foil or aluminum foil. I wrapped it with aluminum foil so it would be the right with the right thickness.
Right.
So,
how long did it take you to build that car?
That is a modification of an Atlas ready to run car. So
right.
It took a while because I built a working cushion underframe for that. Because as I was working on this and weathering it up, I looked at one very important thing on the side of the car. And underneath where it says Mississippi Export Railroad, it says cushion service.
Oh, yeah.
And so as I'm working, I'm like, oh, I'm going through all this work. And now I realize if I'm going to do this, I have to put a cushion underframe on it.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is before 3D printing. So I had to build it. Yeah.
So just back on the track quickly, I notice when you run your locomotives through this, do you run like a dead rail type system, or is this an industrial track that you don't? Obviously, I would see the top of that, and it's wouldn't conduct electricity or the DCC all that well, or DC if that's what you're into. So
it is wired, kinda, but it's I'm going to be running. I am going to be running dead rail.
Dead rail, okay. So the only reason I bring that up, I spoke to Neil Erickson, I think was it last week, about dead rail. 2 weeks ago, and as I said, I never heard of Proto-48 before I started researching this, and I'd never heard of dead rail, so I don't know what little part of the world I've been living in, but it's not something that's mainstream or even looked at over in my part of the world. So,
well, it means that you're not. Well, it's a lot less complicated, at least wiring.
Yeah.
So, at some point, I may be able to show it to you.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
If I can find the controller. That's what I went and I looked for it. I put it down on the way up. I was bringing the locomotive up from the basement, and yes, that's one of my.
So that's one of your trucks that you speak of.
Okay, so one of the things about Proto-48 is there's a perception that you need to have a machine shop to do it, because what this is a modification of an Atlas truck.
Right. Okay.
And one of the things that Atlas does to facilitate the interchangeability of their OW5 trucks with their 3-rail trucks is they're too wide. So when you scale them out, they're too wide.
Yeah, okay.
So what I did was design in 3D SolidWorks, 3D modeling software. I designed a bolster that you could print at Shapeways to fit in the Atlas truck to narrow the side frames so they would work properly, and not have to have, because my first set of trucks, I don't have a machine shop, and I was able to narrow them, but it was not the easiest thing in the world. And so I just thought there has to be an easier way. And so a lot of what my items are on Shapeways I'm trying to make things easier for people to get into Proto-48.
Right. Okay.
To lower the barrier of entry, because honestly, all I care about is whether the wheels and the rails are the right size.
Right size. Okay. That's just, yeah. Okay. So obviously you spoke about the flanges before. I'll just quickly try to scale this photo up a little bit. I don't know if you can sort of see that all that well, but that's obviously a very narrow flange. But as you say, you've got the weight behind to sort of keep that from derailing. That's for sure. So that wouldn't be any larger than something in HO, I wouldn't think, by the looks of it. So
that is about the same as an HO flange. So you think of it, it's an HO RP25 flange, but on an O scale wheel.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, and but what that means is now you can also use self-guarded frogs. Right. So do you know what that is?
No, I don't. No. Oop,
okay. A self-guarded frog is a switch where you don't have any guardrails. The actual guardrails are on the frog itself.
Oh, I see.
So, not used on the main line. They're mainly used in yards.
Right. Okay.
So
here's an in situ picture of your first.
Yes.
Now that's probably
that is on Jim Cantor's railroad. So that's on the railroad that my railroad is based on.
Right. I see. Okay. All right, and that shows a little bit more the detail that you said you had there with the. Mm-hmm. So this is some of your undertakings for scratch built track.
Yes. Yep. That is that's the section of the railroad that's downstairs. So it's a modification of Jim Cantor's railroad. I could have just built it normally and straight.
Sure.
But I thought that was just too boring.
And Bruce, you don't want to be boring. I sort of gathered that.
No, I don't want to be boring, Bruce. That's just so lame. That's kind of like calling Foster's beer, isn't it?
Oh, don't swear at me like that. Australians don't drink Bruce. Foster's beer.
So that's what I hear, Bruce.
Yep. No, Foster's don't. No.
I've been away from Australia for so long, I forgot about it. I'm sorry, Bruce.
That's right. No worries, Bruce. Apology accepted, Bruce.
All right, Bruce. But yeah, that's so yeah, that, if I'm not mistaken, if you go back to that picture.
This one?
Yeah, that is comparing
the flanges and
Yes. Yeah, so that's, one, it's actually hard to see in that photograph, but that's a standard O-scale truck with a Proto-48 truck.
Yep. You can definitely see on the photo, because obviously I got the benefit of seeing this a little larger than you, that the the Atlas track is on the right-hand side, and the flange, you could say, is nearly half as deep again, I would think. So,
Yeah.
by the looks of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, at some point, I think you're going to call up the picture of the end of the gondola. You'll really be able to see it then.
So this is the area here you're referring to.
Yep. Yep.
So is that your trestle by any chance? Or was that...
It is.
Yeah?
It's a kit. It is a kit, but I did build the trestle, yes.
That's lovely.
It's a Hunter line, kit by Hunter line.
Okay. As in the Stain Hunter line? Stain people?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay. See, I do know Bruce. I know little Americanisms here and there, Bruce.
All right, Bruce.
All right, Bruce.
That the end of the gondola
Let's scale that out nicely, so it looks like I know what I'm doing.
Entirely 3D printed.
I did see you. Where was I reading that? I think that might have been on that article from Model Railroad Hobbyist that you actually cut the end of that off. And so just talk about that a little bit, because that's very Australian, Bruce. The end of that.
Well, yeah. The if you take a look at that article, you'll see, Bruce, that. Yeah, I can't do it that long. The Lionel Gondola. That's a Lionel Gondola that I cut the end off. And what Lionel did is they made it's a beautiful car, but they made, it's a PS5.
Yeah.
It's a Pullman Standard. It's a Pullman Standard number 5 gondola. And they made over 1,000 solid end PS5 gondolas.
Right.
So, of course, Lionel made the one they made 32 of, which is the drop-end gondola.
Right.
So they made 32 drop-end gondolas. Why? Because it's cool, and they can sell more to the 3-rail market, which is fine. It's a beautiful car. The problem is that if you want one that looks like the 1500 that they made in real life, you've got to cut the end off and make and put on a different end. So I was able to find this particular prototype sitting on a siding in Beaufort, Georgia.
Right. Okay.
And as I recall, I didn't take measurements. I guessed. So all of these things are suppositions. I'm guessing the measurements.
Yeah, sure.
Because of known things. But that is the end is entirely 3D printed. So the brake wheel is 3D printed, the brake wheel housing is 3D printed, the crossover platform, the brake wheel platform, that's totally 3D printed. The grab irons are not.
Yeah.
Grab irons are wire.
Sure.
And there's obviously the cut lever works.
Yeah.
You can actually pull the pin on the coupler.
Lovely.
So
it's been Brucified, we'll call it. Brucified.
Right. Brucified, right. So, yeah, and I'm very pleased with that. I just haven't got around to doing another one.
So that's it in its entire length.
Yeah, and that is the same graffiti that's on it. That's really not. It hasn't been wrecked.
The same graffiti as what's on the prototype.
The prototype.
Ah, lovely.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the CR, enlighten me. That's Canadian.
Conrail.
Sorry. Conrail.
So this was 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
so Conrail's been good and gone for a long time. So it's Norfolk Southern now, but Norfolk Southern hasn't painted it over.
Right. Okay.
Or hadn't at the time. They may have since.
So you've only got one of these. Why haven't you built more?
Bruce, it's a lot of work to cut off.
A lot of Bruce.
It's a lot of Bruce, man.
I have
other projects I've got to do. I have other things that are easier to do. Bruce.
I thought I'd get stuck into you just a little bit. It seems to be. I want to let you talk a little bit as well, where others might just cut you down and make fun of you.
No, that's okay. I am a bit. It's like squirrel.
Squirrel. This is my favorite photo right here. That's a lovely photo.
Thank you. And that is right here. It's this. There you go.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
That's it. That's it right there. So never did finish it because I gotta. But they're really. Ow. There's actually a bridge very similar to this near my house.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is a bit odd. I had that at a train show, and a gentleman came up to me, and his job for a railroad was a bridge inspector, and he's like, "Oh, do you want me to tell you what's wrong with that bridge?"
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, "No, not really." Well, because this is, and I said, "Well, that's all fine and dandy, but I have pictures of one that looks just like that." So, cheers, mate.
So, I believe you have a bit of a. I've been told on very, very good authority, and we're gonna jump around here a little bit as we do. Keep it real.
All right, Bruce. All right, Bruce.
You can see that, can't you, Bruce? Number one.
Absolutely, Bruce.
So you're obviously a Star Wars fan.
A little bit, yes.
Because my son first saw that because he loves Darth Vader. That's just his thing.
Uh-huh.
So that's obviously your wagon on your layout.
Yes.
And did you vote for Darth Vader in the elections?
You also note that Yoda rules.
He does rule. Little bugger.
Little bugger. That is an MTH car.
Yeah.
That I didn't really repaint, but I re-lettered the car. So the car came without the aluminumized roof.
Yeah. Sure.
And stuff. So and then I hand painted the graffiti.
Right. So why Darth Vader?
Why not?
Good comeback. I like that, Bruce.
I thought it was something to do, and I had never seen a car like that.
Yeah,
that is a copy. That's a copy of a piece of graffiti, but not
Darth
on
Vader.
a car. It's of Darth Vader, but on a building.
Oh, I see.
Another one. I have another piece of graffiti that's awesome, which is a couple of stormtroopers, and it's on the side of a building.
Yeah.
And it's a couple of stormtroopers throwing darts.
Right.
And on the windows of the building, you see the darts.
Yeah. Okay.
And then on the other side of so you have the stormtroopers are on one side of the building.
Yeah.
Then you have a couple of blocked off windows, and in the windows were the darts flying across.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the dartboard is on the other side of the building. And I thought that would look good on a car if I ever get around to doing it.
Bit like a Bruce's Banksy. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes.
Yeah. That's so. Talk about Star Wars for a little bit. So obviously you got a fetish for Star Wars like myself. So why wouldn't you? Obviously, I've been told that you got a Disney fetish as well. So how did that come about? Was that
a Disney fetish?
Yeah.
Well,
that was on a particular podcast.
Yeah. Yes. The family have been Disney Vacation Club members.
Oh, wow. Since
the Vacation Club really started. So the first year the Disney Vacation Club started, which I believe was 92.
Right. Okay.
I've gone to Disney World at least once a year since 1992. So
now you're just annoying me, Bruce.
Sorry, Bruce.
I keep having to apologize.
Yeah,
Bruce.
you
That's
do,
not
don't
what
you?
Should have to
The only reason I bring that up is this month, in about 2 weeks' time, Take Current World. We were meant to be flying to your lovely country to go to Disneyland to see the Galaxy's Edge. So,
oh, crikey!
Yeah.
I will say that I did so in January.
Right.
Myself and Craig Biscayre, who you may be familiar with or not.
No, don't know him.
No. We went to Disney World and we went to Galaxy's Edge and we did ride Rise of the Resistance.
Oh. And
so,
can you tell me about it?
I can tell you, it is
Is it good or bad?
It's excellent. It is excellent. Truly excellent.
Okay.
The job that anybody wants is you want to be the Imperial officer.
Imperial officer. All right.
The Imperial officers in the ride
Yeah.
are rude to you.
Right.
Oh, they're rude to you. Well, because you're prisoners.
Yeah.
So, and you're rebel scum.
Well, I'm going to push back against that. Don't you worry about that.
Well, you can try, Bruce.
I can try.
You can try.
I remember when we went to Disneyland in Anaheim. When was it? 2016. And my kids were a little bit younger then, and they did the Jedi Knight training, which was phenomenal. Yep. They loved it. So obviously they fight. My lad was a little bit of a bittersweet for him, but fight Darth Vader, which is his most favourite character. So I got this GoPro footage of myself booing Darth Vader and him coming right up to me and putting the fingers out and threatening like, Darth Vader does to strangle me. So that was pretty cool.
Yes.
So. But
yes.
Oh, we loved it.
There's a great video of a couple of the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
In Galaxy's Edge.
Sure.
And a random guy pulls out a lightsaber because he's gone to the lightsaber thing.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. Because by the time Craig decided that he wanted to do it,
sure,
all the slots were taken up. So.
Oh yeah, we had to get there very early in the morning in 105-degree temperature.
Well, it's beyond that. You with the. I don't even know if they're doing this lightsaber, the Jedi experience. I don't know if they're doing it, but there's only like 20 slots at a time. So you can get there the day of and get a slot, but you really got to. We
were there at opening time, I think, from memory to get that slot. So.
Oh yeah, well, I don't doubt it.
Good fun. They should have big person, Bruce. I think they need a big person one. Get on it.
Oh yeah.
So you and I can become Jedi Knights.
It's priceless because the guy pulls out his lightsaber and Kylo Ren walks past him and says, lightsaber. Interesting. Walks by. What are the and one of the stormtroopers stops, looks at him. If there is a Jedi left, it's not you. And all of his friends are like, oh,
that's crushing.
Oh, it's priceless. Yeah, if there is a Jedi left, it's not you.
Yeah. There was this one little boy. I know we digress here a little bit away from trains, but I think it's funny. There was this one little boy when we were there. Obviously, Kylo Ren comes out and also Darth Vader come out, and they try to coax all the kids across to the dark side. And there's this one little kid, he probably would have been 4 years of age, I reckon. He didn't take very much. He just ran straight across the stage. Yep, I'm ready to sign up.
All right.
He took the coat, he took the cloak off, chucked the lightsaber down. Nah, I'm going to the dark side. So it was hilarious. All right, so as I said, we digress a little bit, but yes. I love Star Wars, which is now Disney. So good or bad. So we'll have a quick look at your sort of finish up on your websites if you would like.
All right.
There we go. So this is your Shapeways O-Scale detail store, not store, but store, Bruce.
Store.
Bruce. So I'll put all the links, as I said, to all these below. So is there anything in particular you wanted to sort of highlight here?
Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Scrolling.
Yeah, these are a lot. These are detail parts, and the a lot of tie plates and a couple of things I did for the Code 138 joint bars. That's something that I showed you. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah. Keep going.
Where am I going? Oh, these. Yep.
There we go. Okay, so that thing right there. Yes.
This one.
So, yep, the Atlas Trinity 17 6-gallon tank car conversion.
Yep,
so.
Bring that up.
Yeah. That actually allows you. So if you click on the actual photo, so there's a photo of the car down below.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Standing by.
Standing by.
What? There.
3D. There we go. There we go.
Anyway.
Now we're cooking with gas, Bruce.
Yeah, there we go. So, one of the Atlas cars are beautiful, but the problem is the bolsters are built in such a way so that they will clear the Atlas trucks for obvious reasons. Well, the Atlas trucks have the bolster on them, so there is no bolster on the car. There's a bolster on the truck, and it's not the way it should work.
Sure.
So these fit right into the existing holes, so that you're easily able to convert. See, that's the type of thing I do. Is you want to
make it easy to convert,
bring a lot more realism to these cars, which are gorgeous.
Yeah.
These are not. It's not. I mean, this is not a. I suppose you could do it in an afternoon.
Okay.
I mean, you could convert one of these in a day, a couple of hours, because it requires a bunch of cutting.
Right.
With a jeweler saw.
Okay. Yeah.
So
like
it does not require. You can do it with a milling machine, but honestly, it's easier with a jeweler saw and probably faster and less messy.
Sure.
So. Because most of the problem with a milling machine is figuring out how to clamp the thing that you want to cut in the machine without destroying it.
Yep. I could see how that would be, particularly for its cylindrical. Wouldn't be all that easy, I wouldn't think, Bruce.
Yeah, a little bit tricky, Bruce.
A little bit tricky.
Let's see what happened to.
It's gone too far.
What
else you got on this?
Let's see. There's that. Then there's like the. Let's see. Keep going. These are a lot of the basic bullshit. So that right here, like the P48 100 TRBFM. So that is
easy
an
for you to
actual. Yes, that's a truck kit. So it's a Proto-48 copy of. It's essentially a copy of the Atlas trucks, but instead of using the bronze bushings the Atlas trucks these use an actual roller bearing. So you have to buy the roller bearing separately, but what that means is these things roll ridiculously well.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you get the roller bearing from? It's something
China.
Okay.
China. China.
China.
There.
China.
You get them off Amazon.
Okay.
Or eBay. They're eBay. You get they're 3/32 slot car bearings.
Oh, okay.
Slot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slot cars. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yes, sir. Interesting.
So you sell a few of these, I'm assuming?
A few. Not tons, but a few. Huh. I
suppose the best thing with Shapeways is you're not having to print them, are you? It's almost a print-on-demand type scenario, I'm assuming. That's how it works.
It is a print on demand. The prices although the prices have gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
But and then you have like the Atlas Trinity 5161 Protocraft, and that's kind of a tricky conversion. Wow. Yeah, the prices did go up. Yes, they did.
Okay.
But that allows you to convert to use either my trucks or the Proto-48 trucks with the proper bolsters in them, so that they can fit and use either KDs. KDs will actually fit in these coupler boxes, or Protocraft couplers.
Sure.
The problem with the 5161s is those covered hoppers.
Yeah.
Is there's a lot of detail that if you just cut the old bolsters off and put the new, you lose a lot of it. So one of the things that bogged that project down was recreating the brake rigging, and then recreating it so that it would fit properly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So here these brake wheels. Is that what there was? One was on that gondola on the trestle.
Yes.
Or similar.
But
similar.
In the difference with this, with the gondola end, is this was printed right on it. So the brake reel was printed right on the end. It wasn't a separate part.
Okay.
But this is the brake wheel from that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't print these and put it on. I printed the whole thing at once.
This was an afterthought, Bruce.
That's right, Bruce.
What else we got? This is a cracking little site, isn't it?
You have
two-page.
the
Anyway, sorry, go on.
yes, like the switch plate array. So that can be a little tricky to get.
Oh, that one.
Well, actually, both of them. So yeah, I get into putting in the. So that is for the. That's off a Pennsylvania Railroad plan, and it allows you to put in adjustable rail braces along the switch points.
Yeah, okay.
And the adjustable rail braces are a separate part that you have to buy separately, but
Yeah.
which is obvious since it's a separate part. But yeah, and these go in particular spots in a switch to up the realism. The other one on the page was the hook tie plate array.
We'll go and have a look at that quickly. Stand by. That's that one there.
Yep. The 9-foot guardrail. So hook tie,
okay.
the hook tie plates are the plates they put under the frog.
Right. Okay.
So they alternate them. So if you're going to do a switch the right way, you've got to use hook tie plates.
So this
A lot of guys don't go.
Yeah. We'll call it Bruceifying.
Bruceifying? Yeah, I do a lot of bruceifying.
You'll understand that us Australians, we just put a lot of words, just bang them all together, so to speak.
Well, kind of like the Germans.
The Germans, yeah, very good at that, yes.
Yeah,
I live very close to a little German town up in my part of Australia, yes. So,
like Pfaffenhugen and
Pfaffenhugen.
Panzerkampfwagen.
That's right. What else? We got?
So yeah, a lot of coupler boxes. That's the Lionel PS5 so there's the ends. So that's the gondola ends right there.
Yep, it's all right. That's the wrong one. Let's not
That's
get
all
ahead
right.
of ourselves. There we go. Gondola ends.
Really? You can kind of see the brake wheels on there with the.
Yeah.
I am absolutely amazed that those crossover platforms print like that.
Yeah, they're
amazing.
incredible, aren't they? Because normally it used to be brass etch would be the closest you would get to that, I would have thought.
Well, a brass etched would be stronger.
Yeah.
But
We're not
you also
standing on
don't get the dimpling on them.
Yeah, true.
You can get the holes, but you can't get the dimples.
Okay.
Well, you could, but it would take you so much work to do it that
Wouldn't be worthwhile. Yeah.
no, I don't even think a Bruce would do it.
You wouldn't do it, Bruce. Oh.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, if Bruce is not going to do it, it's not worth doing. Hey, Bruce.
Bruce, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with a computer, Bruce.
Yeah, nice. Well, I like those, the relay boxes.
Yes. That's a tricky one. So, here you go. See, I've printed them myself. Here you are, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce.
You can see that right there.
And you'd use a fair few of those, I would think, Bruce.
You can.
Yeah.
You can. Those are, basically every railroad crossing, anywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to have one of these boxes.
Yeah, nice.
Yep.
I hide infrared detectors in my relay boxes.
Oh, okay. Well, did you see the one I was holding? This one?
Oh yeah. Yep. That's
I
better.
print these at home.
Oh,
I have a
nice.
3D printer. They're a little tricky to get right though.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Whereas with Shapeways, it's a lot less complicated.
I know. I've never looked to getting into 3D printing purely because it's a hobby within the hobby within the hobby, and I've only got so much time. So as you point out,
Hang on one second. I'll show you one thing I did. This is train related, but not monorail related. Hang on. So what that is that's a kind of like a bag tag, and
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
Brotherhood. That's the symbol for the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen. The union. So this is the union symbol.
Right. Okay.
So the point of this is to sell them to guys at work.
Is that for your railways union at where you were currently working? Is that what you're saying? Yep.
That's the engineer. Well, honestly, the BLE is
Right.
what most engineers in the United States belong to. Not all of them,
sure.
but most of them.
Sure.
So.
All right. Obviously, this is your WordPress site that we were talking about briefly. So, pretty well just if people, as I said, I'll put the link to this below, and it just further reiterates and gives links off to your Shapeways for all the bits and bobs that you've pretty well got here that we've already sort of spoken about all the trucks and how that's sort of your passion within Proto-48, which is I never even considered a part of. I'm not saying this to be disrespectful, Bruce, but obviously one of those things you never even looked at, spending that amount of detail and time on it. It's just something I've never even thought was a thing, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I mean, people. The problem, and many times, is they will look at my track and say, "Well, I could never build track like that." Well, then don't. You can get flex track. You can actually get flex track, and you can get pre-built switches for about the same price that you'll spend on Atlas ones.
Yeah,
you probably can get them easier because the demand is a lot less. So the guy that makes them can keep up with the demand.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a little, I can't do it. Yeah, you can, but it depends on what you want to do. My railroad is not going to be a basement filling layout.
That's
because,
right. Yeah.
I have way too many interests that pull me in 50,000 different directions that I'll never get the thing finished.
Yeah.
So even as it is.
And I think that's the beauty of this hobby, isn't it? You can niche down as far as you like to whatever interests you. Yeah. As I said, you brought it up before. I'm a little bit like a squirrel in the headlights as well. Sometimes I'm over here, then over there, and all over the place right now, looking at various different things. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm not finishing my layout, but I'm okay with that. So I think that's why talking with people like yourself, I think, is so interesting, because I'm learning things about this hobby that, do I want to get into Proto-87? Maybe. I don't know. I might end up talking to Bruce again and doing something in O-gauge and just doing one little wagon as a feature piece that'll sit on my mantelpiece, so to speak.
Well, there's always that. I will say if I was going to suggest getting an O-scale piece, I would say get the DAPOL class, what is it, class 8? 08? Shunter? British shunter?
Yep.
Oh, it's a gorgeous I so want one of those. But thankfully, it won't fit on my railroad. So
I should probably buy many of them.
I would probably have to build a little O-scale, a British O-scale,
British,
or English, whatever they want to call it. British O-scale shunting layout. So I could do that, but finish what I got now.
No, Bruce, you got to finish what you got, mate.
Like that piece right there, that little piece of roadway. That's my HO scale railroad.
Right. Okay.
That's still downstairs. But even that, I was looking at, how do you make the flangeways correct which was pretty easy, because a lot of the roads in the United States, they have these little rubber flangeways.
Right.
So they put in these rubber protectors. So they put a rubber piece on one side of the rail, and then this other thing that's like an L, and they put that in the road. I'm really happy with that too, that dump truck, because I used to own dump trucks, so that's why
you modded one.
I know how the back of one weathers.
Lovely.
So
lovely.
Yeah. You got it?
I got it.
Oops.
Now you're just rubbing it in. You don't need to have it on clean rails, aren't you, Bruce? Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah, and the wheels are spinning.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't have enough. Huh?
What DCC system do you run?
In this particular case, with what I'm doing,
yeah,
it's
so
it's
the Tam. Is that the Tam Valley one?
This is a Tam Valley one.
Yeah.
So this is the entire DCC system in this box.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not like I'm not slaving to a NCE system or anything.
Yeah, okay.
So this is just for testing purposes. I wouldn't, although I do run my railroad with it.
Yeah.
You know, if I really want to do anything, I would get the system from Tam Valley to run NCE. Because you can run NCE with this too.
Yeah.
So it's not a.
All right.
It's just he sent me this so that I could test it.
Yeah, nice.
So, oh no, it's great. So.
Yeah, I run his Duncan's boosters on my layout, so.
And the
very good stuff. Very good.
I got Mike
juicers?
Rose put on frog juicers.
Yeah.
Yep, they just work.
Yeah, nice.
You know, plug them in and they work.
Yeah, nice.
You know, so yeah, everything he does. I remember I went and I visited Duncan, and on his living room floor playing around with his Bluetooth version. Running a steam locomotive back and forth on the floor. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
On no rail, I'm assuming, just to rub it in.
No rail, no rail.
To rub it into us, people that need rail.
It was tile. It was tile.
Yeah.
It was the cracks in the tile. It's like rail, right?
Yeah. They don't have to be clean, which is even better.
That's right.
That's
you don't have to. You don't have to. I just gotta remember not to turn the engine sideways. And Butch Eiler helped me weather the locomotive. So
lovely. All right, Jim. I don't have any other questions.
Who's this Jim fella you're talking about?
Oh, sorry, Bruce.
My name's Bruce.
Bruce, aka Jim Lincoln.
All right.
So I'm lost for word, which is very strange for me. But thank you so much for taking the time away from your evening. I'm not sure. It's coming up to nearly 1 in the afternoon here in Australia. So thanks, Bruce, for having a chat with us on Motororo techniques and giving us a bit of an insight in Proto-48 and a little bit of a background on who you are as a modeler and as a person, and an awesome sense of humour. And I can see us moving forward with Bruce number 1 and Bruce number 2 doing something else at some stage. That will be a lot of fun.
That'd be interesting, Bruce. Either that, or it'll send all of your listeners or viewers. I guess it's viewers, isn't it?
Viewers, yes.
Crying and screaming for the doorways.
Make sure you subscribe. Click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Motororo Techniques.